Personally, it's emotionally devastating to a certain extent, because I did not even understand myself the extent and the depth of the abuse, which I don't really understand completely. But it was so many of my peers involved in it. It's absolutely humiliating because of the issue of guilt by association. And I'm not sure if I walk publicly with my collar on, if I'm going to be yelled at, cursed at, spit at, or punched. I don't know. And I'm a little bit weary going out in public wearing my collar, just going out to the post office right now, for example, and getting a series of dirty looks for what my peers have done.
As Cardinal Dulles said in 2002, the weight of this has been borne since then, and I think still today, by priests. They're the front line, in essence. They're the guys who have to deal with angry parishioners who come to them and say, how can I be receiving communion here, or why should I remain Catholic despite all this nonsense? They're the ones immediately responsive to those people, and on the other hand, they have to also be responsive to the bishops above them. So they're kind of caught in the middle, and I know some priests are very close to them. If you ask them, you'll hear this from them, that there's a sense of real fatigue about this, real spiritual and physical fatigue as a consequence of this, and that's a shame. They should not have to bear this alone, for sure.
The structure and organization in which we demand ethical practices and principles, rightly so, and yet in the background, when that's not being done, and innocent kids are taken advantage of, our spiritual and moral credibility is down the drain and not believable.
The kingdom, power, and glory are yours, now and forever.
When I think of my life in the priesthood for the past 27 years, and this summer of 2018 has been a tumultuous one where it has called me to question myself, my relationship to God, my relationship to bishops, my relationships to my fellow priests. It has called me to question even how people look at me when I walk down the street in a collar. I think about the people who've been abused, and I think about how we might be able to provide healing for them. I think about my own brokenness, the brokenness of so many, and how we might be able to experience God's healing love in a new way to bring about a holier church.
I have priest friends of mine say, I'm not going to wear my collar because of the whole crisis. But I say, nonsense. I'm going to wear my collar and I say, look, it's a tough situation. We're all a bit ashamed, frankly. But we need to be out there. People need to see their priests. And frankly, I find a lot of support out there, even though people are upset, and I am too. Yeah, people say nasty things to you just because you're wearing your own collar. But for every nasty comment I get 10 positive ones. When I give workshops to priests on this issue, I said, we might not like our situation, but remember who really is suffering through this, and that's the victims. Remember, victims first. They're suffering with a lifetime of pain because of this. So let's not fall into our little pity parties. They're the real victims and their families.
My abuser is from the Diocese of Erie originally. He's deceased now. He's mentioned in the grand jury report.